People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
Hey, what's up, Liberty fam and everyone in North Carolina fighting for freedom and liberty in our Old North State and across the country, wherever else you may be. Thank you. Welcome back to another episode of Liberty Inc., your source for all things liberty in the great Tar Heel State. This week, we are coming with a special episode. Just a reminder that anyone who wants to participate should reach out, communications@lpnc.org. But on to serious things. This week, we are continuing our long-running series of individual cases where state overreach has affected someone. We're looking at the case of Brian and Kerri Turner. Brian, as you will hear in great detail, had the audacity to walk outside looking for his wife and then not bow down to the demands of a police officer in Gibsonville. And we're going to show you some video. We're going to talk to the Turners and we're going to see how it has affected them and what maybe you could do to push back. So buckle up. It's a bit of a wild ride. We're going to start with this video and then jump into the Turners. Thanks. Reach out with any comments, questions, hate mail, whatever it may be. Look forward to your thoughts on this video and enjoy.
I'm calling the police.
You were detained.
Put your hands behind your back. He was outside.
Put your hands behind your back.
Let me call the police. Let me call the police.
I am the police.
Yeah, but let me call you. Now you've done anything wrong. You're detaining me for no reason.
No, I did not. You started to run.
I run because you came outside. You have no reason to detain me. I stopped as you said.
604 Wood Street.
Daddy!
Go inside. Let me put my dog inside.
Okay, you can put your dog. Do not step inside.
Go inside.
No!
Go inside. Remy, go inside.
Daddy!
Go inside. I'm going to shut the door.
Go!
Go inside. I'm going to shut the door. Go inside and stop crying.
Okay.
Dude,
Hey, what's up, Liberty fam? I'm sitting here with Brian and Kerri Turner. As you just saw from that video, we are going to get into what happened to Brian, continuing our series we've been doing on putting the spotlight on local cases of government abuse and overreach. Brian has been a victim and a targeted victim. I hate to use the term victim sort of lightly, but very much a targeted victim. He was arrested for the serious crime of walking in his own driveway. And when he dared to fight back, the whole entire city turned against him. And as we're going to get into in detail right now, while things have sort of calmed down a little bit in terms of him being targeted, the lasting impact of what was done to him and his family remains. And further, it's calmed down because the city's almost sort of run out of things to throw at him. Like there's very few things left they can do to antagonize this poor family. So without further ado, Brian and Kerri, how are y'all doing today?
hey, doing all right.
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to sort of work with you all over like the last 5-ish months or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you, and I've seen such improvement in your mental and emotional state, which is good.
Thank you.
We don't share family details in great detail here, but you've got kids. It's tough on your kids. You're a family.
Yeah.
You're working with things. But we just saw that video of you getting arrested in the driveway. You want to take us through what happened?
Yeah, so basically, this involves essentially an incident that happened with my wife. So we had an argument prior. She left to go to the park.
No, wait. When you say an argument, I assume you must have been like hitting her with a bat or driving her a full out.
No,
You were just disagreeing with raised voices, like every couple does all the time.
Exactly.
And I had like a long day with the kids. I was moody and I just wanted to go for a walk.
Kerri, I got to tell you, I'm a married man. I'm gonna side with Brian. Like, as soon as you said I had a long day with the kids, every radar sensor I have went off. Like, whoa, Brian, you should have known better. Whatever you did, you should have known better.
But so
But again, we're making light of this. It's a
yeah.
normal, like, it's tough to be parents. It's tough to get
Oh
through life
yeah.
together, and we
Yeah.
work through it. That's how we do it. So okay.
That's right.
So she didn't come back yet, and so I had met this officer at the park and asked if he'd seen my wife, and because I told him that off camera, because I had trusted him that yeah we had an argument hours ago. And she had you seen her? He didn't. So I went home.
Well, here,
My,
let's because this is a key element, and
yeah,
I'll throw this up on the screen
okay.
right here.
See if she was around or something.
Yeah.
No, I came to the bar. I didn't see her over there or anything like that.
Yeah. Nah, I saw her come this way because we live off of Wood Street.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You still doing DoorDash?
Yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw her, but I don't know where she's at. And she had her phone's there, so she's a woman, and
That's not her, is it? The silver car?
she can't drive.
She can't. Your wife can't drive? Why not?
She doesn't have a license.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, if I see her, I'll let her know. What was your name again?
Brian.
Brian, what's your last name?
Turner.
Brian Turner. Okay. Brian, you have a safe day, okay? If you need anything else, give us a call, all right?
But so as we saw, it was a pleasant consensual encounter. He was saying you weren't supposed to be at the park after dark. You told him who you were. He said cool, and that was that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was the end of that encounter. And then when I get home, my buddy was watching my kid left. A couple seconds later, about 30 seconds later, I see him and he's yelling out, Mr. Turner, why did you run? And I'm just being respectful, knowing I don't have to speak with him. I still, was like, hey, I ran because I had to get home to my kids. And then he asked me, what were you and your wife arguing about? And I was like, dude, none of your business. And as I turned around, that's when he grabbed me. Um, and then like it got turned into this whole thing of like, so he ordered me. So I still am. I watched it, but I'm still putting things together. But basically, when I told him that I don't want to talk about it, in my opinion, he got angry because I didn't want to speak to him, and it was like an ego thing.
Right.
And so he said he drew his gun on me, but in the statement, but I'm not really sure. But I do know that there was an object, like a gun-like object, either that, probably a taser.
And our daughter, who was 5 at the time, was standing right next to Brian.
On the port, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, dude, what's going on? And I'm like, he's grabbing me, and normally, just so you guys know, like, I grew up being abused and stuff. So if somebody touches me, I'm liable to knock your teeth out of your mouth. But because he was a cop, I was like, maybe something's dire. Maybe there's a ongoing crime that he's investigating, and so I was still kind of like giving him the benefit of the doubt.
And Brian just wanted to know, like, why, what is going on? He even mentioned, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah,
He's like, I am the cops or something like that.
yeah, and so he still hadn't told me. And then I basically, 'cause I can put my daughter inside. I put my daughter inside, and he's attacking me again. And I'm like, and I'm still like, what's going on? And then after I see other cops coming, well, you guys were arguing. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, that's what, and so I suspect, to be honest, I don't think there was a call, but assuming even if there was, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter because we weren't violent or anything, and it's just a disagreement. And so that's essentially what happened. Like he charged me with resisting arrest, assaulting an officer, and child abuse. And then even after my wife had told him that we weren't doing anything, I still was charged. And so this is the worst part of it.
So
That
hold on.
night.
I want to reflect on that real fast. And again, video's been up. We'll put the
Yeah.
link in the comments so everyone can see all of it. And to be clear, like, you weren't polite to the cop after this started. which you're under
No.
absolutely no obligation to be polite to the cop whatsoever.
I was
And
a
you were
butthole
polite to the cop
after.
at first. I mean, you were polite at first.
Yes.
If he's not wearing a badge and a gun, I'm with you. Like I'm either knocking him out or I'm probably exercising my Second Amendment rights. Like
Yeah.
that's at this point I'm being assaulted. But now he's got a badge and a gun, so he thinks he's above the law.
Exactly.
And because you weren't, I don't know, feeding his fragile ego, I'm tempted to say that. If I'm on social media, I would say that because I'm being antagonistic. But to be fair, we don't know why. We just saw him react to something
Yeah.
for
Well,
which he had no legal jurisdiction to react.
No.
I mean,
And he was so aggressive.
He was, yeah, and that's the thing. Like,
and
I don't
child
know
abuse
what
is the chart. I mean, that's insane.
yeah.
That's like, how can we make this poor man suffer as much as possible for daring not to respect my authority?
Right.
But yeah, and it's like, what was so terrible is like they could have fixed it. You know, they had me bound up at the substation in Gibsonville for, I imagine it was an hour or two with my hands. Now, don't get me wrong, I was disrespectful to him, but and that's because he disrespected me by putting his hands on me. Because I was under no obligation to tell him why we were arguing. You know, and so after he put his hands on me, rather than beating him up, I cursed him out because I was angry. It's like, you disrespected me. You didn't have
I
any
watched the
reason.
video. I swear to God, I would have been 50 times worse. Like, I thought you were restrained.
I definitely was, only because they were the police.
That'd
So
make it worse for me.
yeah. So I was talking crap to him, and then after they took me to the substation. They made me walk through, and keep in mind I was barefoot. They made me walk through a bloody cell. This lady in a neighboring cell peed on the ground. They thought it'd be funny to move her, make me walk through the puddle.
What?
Yeah.
I did not know that part.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
And
God.
I asked when I was talking to the cops when I got back before they took Brian, I was like, does he need anything? Does he have everything? And they told me he did. He didn't have shoes on. I don't even know what else.
No.
Yeah.
And so I had to walk home. I got a written promise to appear after all of this. I had to walk home barefooted. Somebody actually called the police on me because I was tired. And the Burlington police at about 7 o'clock in the morning asked me if they could help. And I was like, well, could I get a ride home or as far as you go? He was like, no. And basically, as he was leaving, my buddy that was watching my kids came and picked me up because my wife had gotten in contact with him. So I went home and I slept that day. And then when I woke up, I filed a complaint with the Gibsonville police. At the time, Assistant Chief Rebecca Dixon was the one I spoke with. She's now at the Stoneville Police as the Chief of Police. She basically, I could kind of hear her grimace as I was telling the story. She was like, he was just doing his job because CPS, we got CPS later on had like come out. So at the time, we didn't know that essentially the neighbors who live up the road had lied and made false statements to protect the officer. And so we didn't know it at the time, but we were like, why is CPS showing up? And so throughout this ordeal, you know, we hired Don Dickerson for the first trial because we're like, he didn't have the right to do any of this stuff. We're thinking it's going to get dismissed easily.
It'd be easy, yeah.
Don Dickerson privately admitted that the officer was wrong. I have the recording posted on YouTube, and yet he would not defend me in court. He would not gather the evidence to give me a trial, to give me a good trial. And so, as what really made me mad was during the court hearing, a person that later on would be the DA, Mary Williams, laughed at the moment my daughter was screaming. I can't even play that part without. I have to mute it because it's so traumatizing for me hearing her scream like that. She was laughing, regardless if she was laughing at my daughter or laughing at something else. It was disrespectful.
Take your job seriously.
And so
Let me rewind one moment to something you said, because this is a key element, and it's very hard to truly understand people's intent and motivations. But the part about the neighbors coming after you, that wasn't the first time, correct?
No. So the neighbors, there are two there. So they're neighbors. The other ones that there are ones that live beside us on like the left hand side, and then there's ones that live on the right hand side. And so the neighbors with all this started was so
family.
they're all related. And so basically, I interpreted it as racism, but I could have been wrong. I don't think, to be
So
fair.
I was going to lead up to that. So to be fair, it looks like you're both white. You would be passing white if we were doing a
Yes,
postmodernist study, but your mom is in fact half black.
yes, yes.
And all of this started when that news came up.
You tell her, Kerri. You tell him, Kerri.
Yep. So I used to be friendly with the neighbors that are right next to us. The kids would play, and one day he asked the I don't know
The older gentleman.
older man asked me what Brian's or our daughter's ethnicity is because her hair is very curly, and so I told him. And after that is when things got like different.
She told me that night because she thought it was weird, but I didn't really think much of it. But prior to the incident with the cop, the police were sitting outside my house. They would pull me over without any valid reason, just ask me how I was doing.
And so the neighbors are like ex-fire chiefs. They're in the town. They're friends.
So
everybody knows.
one thing that
of course, it's an old boys network. It's so North
Yes.
Carolina is, for better and for worse. There's ups and downs to that.
So they all know each other. The police chief they all know each other, and that's essentially what was going on. And again, I don't think all of them is racist, but I do think the older people were racist because the gentleman, actually there was an article that was taken down where he said something that was interpreted as a threat to the then mayor Lenny Williams. And so we kind of started putting it together, but that's the way I interpreted it. Is where it originally came from. But now, I don't think what's going on now is racism. I think it's more or less protecting
The
what
system
started.
protecting itself without question.
Yes.
If they would have just investigated the one officer when this happened, it didn't have to go this far.
Exactly. And now it's like
let me jump in there, because more than that, Brian, you've told me a bunch of times, forget the investigation. If he had called and been like, I was having a bad day, I was a dick, and I really apologize, and shook your hand,
yeah,
you were going to invite him over for dinner, but you would have been like, all right, fine, like, thank you for
I would have
acknowledging
let him
it. Let's get
off.
on.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But the point is, instead, it was the thing is, the incident wasn't really that big of a deal. To be honest, like, I could have pled and gone on about my life, but the point is instead of correcting their behavior, they felt the need to cover it up. And it was a very minor thing. And this is what this has begun. It's like, well, if you don't do what the police say, no matter what, we're going to come after you. And this is what it's been like. My wife, my kids were afraid. And sometimes it would cause me and my wife to argue because it's like we lost a lot over this. I told Rob I lost about $500,000 between investments because I had long options and stuff to pull out of. If you know anything about the stock market, there's a lot to it. So I had to pay for lawyers. My lawyer, John Cox, in the second trial, he was Facebook friends with the police chief. Didn't tell me, and he didn't cross-examine the people that lied. So in regards to the family, so the people that live down the road, I didn't have any issues with them until they came to court and lied for the officer. So I want this to be known. They were not in the initial paperwork. They're not on camera at all. Yet they're called to testify. They saw me fight an officer for 20 minutes. And so for a while they were harassing us because I ended up pleading to an obstruction charge because I could tell my lawyer's not defending me, and what was it, the next trial, the appeal, my lawyer's not defending me, and everyone knows besides the judge that I'm innocent, and instead they're working on like convicting me. And so I knew that if I didn't take a plea, I was probably going to go to prison, and consequences were going to be a lot worse.
It was the best option.
Yes. And so
to be fair, whether or not, I think this is important. Maybe it wasn't your best option. I mean, maybe looking back now, you don't think, but at the time, they want to scare you into thinking that. It doesn't matter what your best option is.
Exactly.
The whole point is scare you into thinking you're gonna get a child abuse charge. You're gonna go for 10 years and then never be able to see your kids again.
Well, my lawyer was kind of, yes.
Yeah.
John Cox, as a matter of fact, was trying to scare me. He didn't really come out and say it, but I could tell he would imply it. Well, you need to do what's best for your family, because I was like, he tried to tell me, well, I was like, how was anything that I did assault? He grabbed me. By definition, assault is unwanted physical contact. How am I assaulting him? He's assaulting me, and the lawyer wouldn't answer the question. And so, yeah, I pled, and then after I tried to sue Jeff for lying, because it was Jeff, his son Dylan, Jeff Reese, Dylan Reese, and somebody else that I don't know. They all came and told the same lying story. And when I sued Jeff, it was dismissed. I actually owe Jeff money now. I owe him $1,500 because the judge, the magistrate, Crab, refused to see the evidence, and it's all on camera. And so I ended up, and he was like, well, and when I filed a complaint with I tried to file, so District Katie Overby, she's actually using her power to oppress a little bit, in my opinion. She wouldn't do anything, and so they was like, well, just appeal. And I was like, this has been an ongoing case of judicial oppression and using the system to mess with me and my family. And this is just all we've been dealing with. And as a matter of fact, I'm not saying the neighbor's name on purpose. Their granddaughter took a restraining order out of me. I didn't even meet this person until the restraint. I met her like one time, and then like that was it. She came over to our house trying to bother us after, and we tried to avoid her. But then she's alleging that I'm driving by her house, cursing out her grandmother and stuff like that. And I had evidence on the contrary that she and her family were the ones harassing me.
Yep.
The judges wouldn't grant me a 50C for them, but she granted it for them.
And we had evidence, and they didn't.
So that's an interesting point. And and obviously we've talked about how we want to conduct this video. I think we are trying to stay a little bit away from the personal element, because there's a whole nother giant story there.
Yeah, we edited out what you need to.
No. I'm glad you brought it up, because as we also discussed, I do want to talk about the impact it's had on you eventually.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key point, the betrayals. But for everyone listening, just know, besides the I would argue absurd number of atrocities and rights violations committed against you by the city, there was also a concerted and substantial personal attack sort of rollout. I mean, constantly. And that's the part that's calmed down a lot too, is
yes, yes,
people are back to at least being
cordial.
civil,
Yeah.
or ignoring you. But
Yeah.
you had people doing stuff in your driveway, ringing your doorbell, you're catching things ring count. This is going on. Multiple restraining orders of people you didn't even know who they were.
Yeah.
So there's a tangled web to unpack there, but all of it comes from this crazy stuff. So you've been charged, you plead to the obstruction, and now you're trying to take up, so phase two, you're trying to advocate for yourself and your family. You put a bunch of money into it. You've had multiple lawyers who have ranged from worthless to actually hurting your cause.
Yes.
Yeah. And now you're trying to take the case up with the city council.
Well, the thing, they banned me for that, actually.
That's what I was getting at. So what happened there? They didn't just ban you from city council.
So basically, I went to them while the trial was going on, and then actually Ben Baxley threatened me with harassment charges if I sought his help. And my lawyer, Don Dickerson, was like, well, don't contact them, which is crazy. So after the trial, and they all knew about it, after I had reached out to what's his name, Brian Chris, who's actually running for mayor right now, which is unbelievable. Didn't do anything. Basically, I think they blocked me. I've never gotten a call from them. I went to court. I went to a town meeting around March, and I called them all out for it, what they did, and I called out Brian Chris for not doing his job. And any one of them could have acted, could have called in an investigation, but nobody did. And then, so what happened was, you can clearly see, plain as day, that if you watch the video, they did not care. And so then, when I went back the following, I think it was the next month, the police chief had me banned. So I actually have a letter to where it doesn't even mention that I violated anything or any laws, but just that they were aware of my activities, basically naming them. Also to note, initially I was banned from the town of, I was blocked from the Gibsonville Police Facebook page, which is a civil rights violation. And after calling it out on the video, they unblocked me.
It very much is. There's clear legal precedent on this. They're a public figure. It is a violation of your First Amendments. They absolutely cannot. I suppose there are some, if you're truly harassing them over nonsense.
Yeah.
But even there, I mean, we had a case with Joshua Rohr where the Gastonia police social media person was fired for blocking people and antagonizing citizens. But sorry to interrupt. Continue. I'm just
Well, and then check this out. So two things to note. After I said it, they unblocked me, and then what they did was they limited my ability to comment under things, and so I had the links, but then like I'd find ways around to like post the links, but then eventually they made it to where the links weren't clickable, and so it just looks like gibberish.
And they didn't just ban him from the town meetings; they banned him from all of town Gibsonville
yeah, that's what I was
property.
getting at.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like public parks.
When I went back, they banned me from everything: the parks, the recreation, anything that is government related. I can't go to, or I get arrested and charged with a trespass.
So, like, if your children were playing soccer at a public park,
I
you could
couldn't.
get
I
arrested
can't
for
go.
trespassing for watching them.
There was actually times this summer the girls wanted to go to the pool. I took them, and Brian couldn't come even if he wanted to because
Yeah.
town.
All to protect misconduct. And the same people, this is what really irks my nerves. The same person, one of the people that signed, is running for mayor, saying he cares about the people. He clearly didn't care. So my family doesn't matter. And this is something that could have easily been resolved with the town manager, the mayor, anybody could have corrected the mistake. But this is the thing. This is the thing. It's an illusion. They project to care about you, but they don't. It's all about themselves. And so I will tell you this while I'm thinking about it. I do have one more option on the state level, and that's to file the motion for appropriate relief. But I can't file it yet because if I file it and I don't have a spotlight, they'll just dismiss it. And then I have 1 year to file a federal claim, and that'll likely get tossed. And so I have to wait. And so I read a statistic that 90% of motions for appropriate reliefs get denied, and they can be denied for any reason. The public might think it's a legal reason, but it's not. As a matter of fact, I reached out to the Judicial Committee about the misconduct, and they called it a legal error to know. So basically, how many legal errors do you think was actually misconduct? And even the judges on the commission, one of them I read had a potential, and I don't want to say without proof, but it was potential so I know that he had been cited for legal error, but it could have been how do I know it wasn't misconduct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is what we're dealing with. Like, this cost us peace, joy, happiness. My daughters are traumatized. By the way, my oldest daughter, she's going to school, right? She's been having trouble for a while, like not getting enough sleep and all this stuff. And because the neighbors being harassing, which again they've since stopped. And so this did cause me and my wife to argue. So basically, we went to the principal about everything, and instead she sent CPS out to our house.
And denied our oldest daughter help. Extra help is what the conversation was for. Now, this year, she's in 3rd grade and she has a teacher who she can't understand. And I respect him. He's great. And I appreciate his efforts, but she's still learning how to read. And she's a little behind. And then they gave her a teacher. His first language
is not
English. She doesn't understand him.
And so it appears as if, and I could be wrong, but this is the perception that I get based off of everything. Even the principal seems to be more like, well, I disrespected the police. And that's kind of the mindset around here in Gibsonville go ahead.
Respect my authority. Well, I was going to say one thing, credit where it's due. you all actually had a good experience with CPS, right? Like,
Oh yeah, no, they were great, man. They actually they acknowledged. So this is what they did. I'm not gonna say her name, but she thought when she saw the footage, because at first she was like looking at me like the bad guy,
yeah,
whatever.
of
But
course,
then
understandable.
after looking at the videos and stuff, she did acknowledge that we're the victims. She filed a civil complaint, or I don't know what it's called again, because one of them brandished the gun to try to intimidate my wife, and our friends called the police. So it wasn't even us calling the police; it was somebody else, and he happened to be a relative of the
And a
family,
minor.
and they didn't take any action. And so there's videos, multiple videos of the neighbors harassing us, doing things for at least 8 or 9 months. And they only got, and we don't even know if they actually got charged. We were told this, but I couldn't find them in the system. It since has stopped. But basically, all this had gone on, and no one was doing anything. But you rest assured, if I do something, I'm going to jail.
Yep.
Of course.
And so I've essentially been. I'm sure, like the way I might come off to people that are like that worship them as a troublemaker, but I'm not a troublemaker. I'm just trying to get justice for my family, and what's being and what's being the CPS was great. I'm running off topic a little bit, but CPS they're getting ready to close the case, but we're actually pulling our kids out of school.
Understandable.
My
For everyone
wife.
watching, pull your kids out of school, homeschool. It's way
Yeah.
better.
So actually, I was talking with Rob, and I thought it'd be a good idea.
Mhm.
And me and my wife talked about it, and so
I started the process.
we started the process. And I feel like my daughter got kicked in the throat, my youngest daughter, and no one knew. And this has been multiple times where our kids have been hit when teachers didn't know why.
They're late for, well, I guess this is what I'm saying, but they're like, they go to breakfast first and they're late for class. Is anyone paying attention?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the same thing, and we actually, I mean, we didn't mind the school. There were a couple of issues. One was
Yep.
also with the heavy accent. He was young, and they were still wearing masks at the time, and it was just like he's not learning in this environment. This is not an indictment of the school; it's an indictment of the whole school system. And
Right. Exactly.
he's 2 grades ahead in everything now,
Wow.
at
Good
least.
job.
And it, you know, he spends 2 hours a day doing schoolwork, and we go on field trips and do projects, and it's way better anyway. So yeah,
That
quick aside, shout out to homeschooling. So
Yeah.
we've been talking, what, 20, 22 minutes, something like that. We've condensed a lot in. Tell everyone like how long this has went on.
Oh, you mean like from when the police
Yeah.
harassment started? So the harassment before the false arrest started around 2021, and around, I think you told the neighbors in like July.
Yeah.
So it started around late July, early August, and then and so the actual police harassment stopped after the false arrest, but the harassment from the neighbors kind of has been consistent from the entire time up until about 2 or 3 months ago. So we basically
I
in the
was doing
whole
the
time.
math in my head.
What's that?
Yeah, I said I was doing the math in my head. Keep going.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah. So we've had basically about 3 months of, like, if you can call it, peace, but I'm still dealing with the consequences from all this because, as I was talking to my wife before this, before speaking to you, like, we had this stuff not had happened, I wouldn't have lost my job. I wouldn't have been broke. I wouldn't have been driving a piece of crap car. I had to get rid of, because I was financing cars, and I had to get rid of all of them. My credit's terrible. And so this essentially led to me getting charged, like traffic charges, which took up my life, in addition to the malicious prosecution of the other people taken out. I'm not going to say your name just because I'm forbidden, but it's like these are the consequences, and we're just now, like, it took me about 2 years to get caught back up. So right now, we should be ahead.
Almost 3.
We should be ahead financially, but it took us this long to get where we were before all this started, caught back up. And so now,
We're
luckily,
supposed to be ahead more.
exactly, before this started, I was focusing on real estate. We were getting ready to buy our second house and rent this one out and just move. But we got delayed, and so right now we're back. We've started over. So now we're looking to buy our next house 3 years later, and rent this out. But if this had been anybody else, I don't think they would have fared the way that I did. And the only reason why I fared this way is because I have legal knowledge. I was going to become a lawyer at some point, so I did take some classes in high school and college, and I just generally understand like psychology and have a- and ha, and I love learning. And so, but if this was a regular person, I don't think they would have done it because it's not only is it scary, like you imagine dealing with the harassing of the neighbors
With small
with
kids.
small
Yeah.
kids and stuff. Like there were times we wanted to sell our house and move, but the thing is, the rent rates are expensive, so our mortgage is extremely cheap now. There's no way we'd be able to find, when I wasn't working, a house because we were living off my wife's disability. There's no way we'd be able to find a house that we could afford or whatever. I had to go back to food stamps, and it's just it was really horrifying. And so I
It's
had and so I, go ahead.
you're sort of, and like I don't want to be hyperbolic or glib,
You did.
but like you're kind of were the American dream. Like y'all didn't come from much. You met, you fell in love, you worked hard, you're building a family,
Yeah,
you're building
exactly.
up savings. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
Mind your own business, leave other people alone, they leave you alone.
Yeah.
I'm obviously, as you two know, completely against the system in every way, but if we must have it, it's
Yeah.
supposed to be there to, prevent violence,
Exactly.
help people like at the absolute lowest, and otherwise not interfere. And instead, there's this old boys network that, and I say old boys, that
I know what you mean.
Mhm.
perhaps sexist in modern context, but it is the old boys network.
Yeah.
It was just weaponized against you because you didn't
Exactly.
fall into line, and now it's crushed. Like, I mean,
Momentum.
you're lucky. So you talk about some of the stuff you do. You also, for everyone watching, Brian has more hustle than anyone I've met in a long time. Like, dude does not stop. So he's getting back on his feet because he does not stop and does not give up, which is also why it's cool to be working with y'all on this story, because I know you won't back down or give up.
Yeah, exactly.
There are other people that could have gone through this and it would have crushed them permanently. I mean, they don't bounce back, or you're lucky you're a little bit younger in this regard. Like, what if this
Yeah.
happened in 30 years? You're gonna
Oh
what,
God. Yeah.
rebuild your whole entire life at that? I mean, it just, and they don't care. There's no sympathy.
No.
There's just doubling down and protecting.
Mm-hmm.
So along those lines, well, first, because again, I'm excited to really
Yeah.
break down sort of the emotional and personal impact, but talk about what the next steps are, what you're looking forward to, like as you keep pushing back and you're dealing
Oh,
with this.
so right now I'll tell you. So I'm working about 60 to 70 hours a week doing DoorDash and Grubhub. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking the majority of my money and I'm putting it in the stock market. And so one thing, at first I was just saving and buying ETFs, but once I lost my job, I had to learn how to make money another way. So I started watching YouTube videos and learned how to stock trade. So I learned this in about 2 years, and I've just now gotten proficient at it. And so now my goal is to build up my portfolio and basically move to Kerri. The reason I chose Kerri is because I love the atmosphere over there. It's knowledgeable. There's a place where my kids can grow and be challenged. And so one of the things that I recognize is you got to be challenged, to grow mentally. And so I've always loved to learn. My daughters love to learn. My wife loves to learn. And so I feel like Kerri would be wonderful. We get the freedom of a new start,
Mm-hmm.
and we get to just live our life, because the thing is, I come from nothing and I always wanted to be rich because being poor sucks. And so like before all this, so now we get to live, we finally get to live our life the way we want to live it on our terms. And I never wanted to be 70, 80 years old working for somebody else. I wanted to just have freedom. That's being able to do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want, is freedom to me. And so technically I don't even have to work now. If I literally stopped, my investments would cover my I would be able to survive, but I
But
wouldn't
we
be
want
able,
more.
but we want more in life. And so
Well, let me say what I'm
yeah,
excited
yeah,
about. So when we bought this house, when we met, we had really poor credit. We fixed that. We were scrounging change for our diapers and food and all this stuff. And during COVID, is when we found this house, and it took us like 6 months to a year, and we were
Yeah.
so excited. So what I'm excited for is to put this behind us,
Yeah.
to move on and enjoy all the hard work and like sacrifices we made together.
Yeah, yes, and exactly. And just, I'm happy for my kids to get a new start, you
Mhm.
know. And so basically, this opened my eyes. And so when we move on, I want to help other victims as well. And I've talked to you about this, Rob, and the group, and my wife. I feel
We're
like
on the same page here. This is why we're pushing this.
I want to help other people, because the thing is, you don't really know that it works like this until it goes to you. Like, at one point, I was that guy that was like, What do they do that I don't know?" But when you go through it yourself, it opens your eyes. And so now that my eyes are open, and I feel like because of the experience that I've gone through, not only did I survive, but we're thriving now.
Mhm.
I can help others. And so my goal is not only to be personal growth, but to help change the system for the betterment. And so one of the things that I've gone through with this, I reached out to our governor, Josh Stein, and other people like that, and they
Sure.
wouldn't do any. Right. But that's their job. And so my goal is to get laws put in place to protect people, that, to hold others accountable to where this cannot happen. I'm still working on creating a system behind the scenes that I'm not going to reveal. Rob knows what I'm talking about, but I'm working. But for me, like, I'm a humanitarian at heart. Like, I don't want to see other innocent people go through the same stuff that we did.
Mhm.
And so that's where we're at.
It's if people, especially people that follow like the Libertarian Party of North Carolina or follow me social media stuff, I go real hard against the cops. And I'm really not inherently anti-cop. In fact, I would argue if we had a system that incentivized good behavior, I'm very pro-cop. I love the
Yes,
idea of
exactly.
police officers who enforce laws that protect person and property.
Yep.
The issue is, because of that badge and that uniform, the police have the state's backing of their monopoly on violence to
Yeah,
do whatever they want. They can take away life and liberty, and they should be held to the highest account. Now, they're
exactly.
human, they're going to make mistakes. And that's where I was so impressed when you were like, an apology would have gone so far. And that would have been that. Like, okay, you made a mistake, but you're really out there trying to keep people safer. You thought
Yeah,
something worse maybe had gone down with my wife and me, and you were checking on her. I respect that.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
still disagree with you. Like, again, we're not going to be friends, but cool. We go our
Yeah,
separate.
exactly.
But what happens is, instead of trying to make things better in terms of police that are more effective in protecting person and property, more effective in upholding civil rights, the system doubles down on itself, and it makes excuses and it taxes people more. And you have almost no recourse.
Exactly.
As you explained, and actually, if you want to talk a little bit more about this, you barked up every possible tree, from filing a complaint to filing suits to talking to Josh Stein to going to city council, and you got banned at every. I mean, it wasn't even
Right.
like they said we looked at it and there's just not enough there. We're really
Right.
sorry. You were
No,
aggressively.
I reached out to so the DOJ is the highest I think you can go to. DOJ Civil Rights Director Jeffrey Smythe is Facebook friends with the police chief of the department. Let me tell you the other issue. The police chief is on the committee that reviews police complaints. So I've gone to the DOJ. I was actually blackballed. So what he did was he didn't really look at my stuff. He just was like, "Well, I'm not going to help you. I don't think she would do that." So then when I tried to call lower, like, there's a commission that monitors policing or whatever, they never called back. The SBI, I would call them at first, and they were like, "Well, there's nothing we can do. We have to be invited." It was like by the
By
very
like the government,
by
like
the
the
people
workers
by
who
the
are
pe
doing it.
right. And so they just stopped taking my calls altogether. And like, no matter where I went, I would either get BS, like, "We can't get involved, this is a local issue," and I would get passed around. Like, no one would take responsibility. I went to our congressman. I went to so Just for all who don't know, who may be in Alamance County. Alamance County, we have the Dennis Rydell, As a matter of fact, Dennis Rydell, he actually doesn't. He's Facebook friends with a lot of them too, and that's the issue. He's our state representative, so he has the power to call into an investigation. But they were like, "Well, get a lawyer," and the lawyers are corrupt. I went to Amy Galey, who's our senator of this district. So there are multiple senators, but then you have one for each district. I went. She's Facebook friends with a lot of them. I went to our senators, Tom Tillis, and the other guy. I can't think of his name at the moment. Um, what's that?
Keep going. Keep going.
And so all I got, either they didn't call back or I got excuses as to why they couldn't help. And these people are campaigning on protecting the people. And so I noticed, I'll just say, I noticed that young lady who was unalived in Charlotte. Terrible, terrible. All these people are talking about how it was a tragedy, but you think about how many tragedies like that happen that don't make the news. And so it just burns me up when people like Josh Stein come out and talk about how they need to protect people. And he doesn't care. Who's the other guy? Jeff Jackson, who's essentially the highest you can get in lawyers. I can't even get a hold of him. Actually, I ended up arguing with somebody. I told her flat out, the person that I don't like Josh Stein or Jeff Jackson, was you should not do for those, but for those watching. But like, I reached out to anyone that I can, because at first I was hopeful. Like, well, this it's clear, obvious, that we're the victims. I filed so many federal complaints. It's crazy, against the judges, and again, the judges, the police, and the problem is judges review other judges' misconduct, cops review other cops' misconduct, and they're all, and a lot of them, you're not going to know this, but they're all friends with each other. And so lawyers are friends with cops, cops are friends with judges, and that by definition is a conflict of interest. And it wouldn't be a big deal if they acted appropriately, but go ahead.
Also, so in this county, like you said, they're all friends and stuff like that. And now I forgot my point. Keep going.
They're all friends with each other. So it's like, how can you get anything done when the people that are supposed to be impartial are acting on so you have, I'll give you an example. You have a judge and a cop and a lawyer. All of these have different roles to play, and so they're supposed to be balancing each other out. But when they're all friends with each other, you can't get fair hearings and rulings and stuff. Go ahead, Mo.
And also, it's like a low tax area. I don't know how to say this in a nice way.
Oh,
So
low IQ.
no.
Oh. So
Anyway, people don't around here don't. A lot of people don't have a lot of money, and that's everywhere. So I shouldn't really pinpoint. But
I get what you're saying.
And so they don't. Who knows how many people they do this to, and they like
Can't do
quickly
anything. Oh, they go.
cover it up.
They know who to target. I mean,
Oh.
there's a reason that we see this sort of selective enforcement in areas that are on the lower end of the income bracket broadly, and not like I live in a nice neighborhood in Charlotte, and there's not cops out here busting people in their driveways because
Yeah.
they know that
Thank
everyone's
you.
getting a high priced lawyer.
And
But
so they're
more than
used
that-
to.
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Please go.
They're used to just covering it up and it goes away.
Exactly.
But they did it to the wrong family this time.
So that's exactly what I was going to say. Along those lines, it's not even that they end up backing each other. Like, you can't get an investigation. You can't get maybe there's something that shouldn't have happened here.
Right.
Like, you couldn't get a quick meeting like, hey, actually, we investigated this and it was within our department guidelines, but we don't think it looked good. Can you help us figure out how to not let it happen again? I mean, it's just,
Exactly.
nope. You're a child abuser who assaulted an officer, and you better take this deal or you're going to jail for 10 years.
Exactly.
I mean, look, it's very easy for me to sit here and say I would fight it tooth and nail. But personality wise, like, you and I are both very stubborn people. And watching you like face the enormity of what could happen, not seeing your kids except on, visits in a prison for an extended period of time, that is a huge, monumental, crushing weight to think
Exactly.
about. So like, you're sort of doing, I don't want to say doing the wrong thing, but like the thing that is against who you are at its core.
Yeah. It was a tactical move. for me anyways. But I didn't realize
Well,
how
now,
corrupt.
now it is without question.
Yeah,
But at the time, it's you don't realize that that's because you don't know what's going to be next. You just know you're being crushed by a system that's claims to be there to protect you.
exactly. And that was it. I'm like, I'm in court, and I remember when it was going on, because the neighbors, and I did not suspect it because they were waving at us up until they went to court. I say, well, what's Jeff doing here? And then he comes out, well, he assaulted the officer for 20 minutes, and my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, really? So just for all watching, there's only about 2 minutes in between when I met the officer at the park and at my house. So just a little context where I live at. The park is about a minute and a half walk. So essentially, with about 2 minutes, only about 30 seconds of me if I was to assault the cop.
Which you weren't. He was just,
Right.
they can call it resisting.
Only 30 seconds could have happened off camera, and in which case you don't see me tired, or any signs that like anything had gone on. So clearly he was like, just for those who are like, well, I don't believe, you can literally look at the time between the two videos and see that is impossible. But back to the point is like, I'm just like, this is so BS. Where I live across the street, for those who don't know, there's a shed across the street that different neighbors own. And so the whole time I'm like, are you gonna say anything? And then like my lawyer's like, it's on camera. But the thing is, they're not even playing the full footage. They're only playing a small portion. So the judge isn't paying attention. She's only paying attention to what's being said. And so I remember telling my lawyer, like, dude, they're completely lying, and he wouldn't cross-examine them or do anything because he could have easily like said something.
And shouldn't we have known that their neighbors were coming?
We should have known. That was his legal obligation. It was also his obligation when they tried to subpoena my mother, who wasn't even there, had nothing to do with it, and I had to find out from her. So, and like I said, it was his obligation to tell me that he's Facebook friends with the police chief, because that's a clear conflict of interest. I had to find out after.
In the middle of court.
I found out after I pled, because I'm like, something don't seem right about this. Like the lawyer, there's no way I'm smarter than the lawyers who went to college.
Wait, you found out what?
I found out that he's Facebook friends
Oh.
and the connections after court. But the whole time I'm like, these lawyers are acting stupid. Like, there's no way I'm smarter than these people who have degrees. I only took a little bit in like law. I didn't know. The lawyer, you could tell he was a bit afraid. And in my opinion, like, I did a lot of psychology. I dropped out of college, but I dropped out my senior year with like 3 classes to go. But I understand the basis of psychology to be able to read him. I could tell something was off by the way he was acting. But hindsight, he was nervous because he was like, he knows what he was doing is wrong, so he's having an internal conflict. But it's like, dude, like, I got, and so I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna come out of this there, because all the judge, they're not gonna, and I'm like, this is a jury trial. There's no way, specifically in Alamance County, where they're all cop lovers. And again, I'm like you, Rob. I'm not against cops. I'm just against bad people. If cops were doing like what you said, I'd have no problem with that. But there's no way.
We'd respect them.
Right.
Let me add something in there too, because watching the video, this is part of what frustrates me so much. If we had a police system that held bad behavior accountable, then when we saw a video where it looks like officers are roughing up someone and it turns out that person's a child trafficker, I would happily give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right, of course.
We're at a place when you see a video and someone's getting roughed up and they're like, this person's a murderer or a child trafficker. It's like, is he? Because I don't believe anything you say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's like, all this because I supposedly argue with my wife. That's not even a crime. It's not an infraction. There's no legal consequences for arguing. At most, if it's loud enough, the volume would be a noise ordinance, which is an infraction.
But hold on, that's not even what the call they say they got. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
for kids screaming.
Kids-
It wasn't even for arguing.
That's right. Kids screaming sounds like a domestic is what it was. First of all, how do you know that it's kids screaming if you're not actually like watching them screaming?
Goats yelling sound like kids.
How do you know it's a domestic situation? First of all, who frames that who frames that's the whole that's why the wording made me think it was made up because it's again I don't think
But
he was
even if when he came, he questioned you about us, not the kids.
right. What do you? It's like the officer clearly did not. If you watch the video, he's laughing at certain points. He didn't care about my wife or my kids. You can see that in his and then in one part of the video. So I will tell you the video up there. I think I sent you the full video, Rob.
It is.
But
I'm actually, if you'll see me looking away and doing it on my computer, I have notes over here. And I was just going to that too, but just looking at the notes. So yeah.
so I had to edit the video because the video that I originally had up was unedited, and then after getting like 10,000 views, it was taken down because the address is in it. But I'll send you the unedited video, and at one point in the video, you can see when I tried to talk to you, you didn't want to listen. He's acknowledging that like this is why because I watched the video like 30, 40 times. He essentially got angry that I didn't want to speak with him. Oh, just so you know, I didn't want to think about this. I know I'm not going to reveal her name, but I know somebody that used to work for the Gibsonville police that told me that William Brennan didn't do things by the book, and she even said he was a danger. I think I gave you her number, Rob.
Yes.
And she talked about some unscrupulous things that went on. I haven't included her name because I want to keep her secret.
Yes. I'm with you there.
But basically, I have somebody that used to work for the department acknowledging that like there is misconduct there that's been undiagnosed. But the thing is I have to put it at the right time because if I show my hand too early, it gets swept under the rug. And this is how these things go. Anything you want to add, my dear?
Not right now.
Oh, well, I will say this while I'm thinking about it, because after these interviews, I'm like, man, I should have said something.
Oh,
So in my past, in my youth, I got a little bit of trouble. I'm only bringing this up because somebody might go, well, he did this as no felonies, no nothing crazy like that, just small traffic stuff. That was basically it. But I'm not a troublemaker, and if edit whatever you need to, Rob. But I say this to say, before I didn't really never had any trouble with the police or anything like that. I only had issues even when we bought our house in 2020. I didn't have any issues, and even after, I didn't have any issues. The only issues that I had was after the police assaulted me, and then I started getting these charges and stuff stemming from that. But prior to that, no one knew who I was. I was just a hardworking father and husband.
Yep.
So they created the issue by allowing their behavior to occur and not taking action. And they promoted the officer multiple times. One thing, I know we're getting close to the end, but one thing that I'll tell you that I noticed, they put him in schools. They put him in schools working with children.
after the way he treated our daughter.
But then, so I see him on the streets more. So that tells me, with everything quieting down, that they're aware that it looks bad. And so, in my opinion, it appears as if they're trying to do an image check to make themselves look good. And so the fact that they're doing that suggests that they're aware of what's going on and optimization. And what you could do instead of pretending to do good as a police is just discipline the bad ones. But they spend so much time trying to keep these people like, jobs. And if one person gets fired, they go to the next job. And this also, I would say, is bad for the economy because when I do win, and trust me, I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to make sure that the people that engage in this and try to cover it up, or they see their day in court, and I'm gonna win. And so when they do have to pay out that massive lawsuit, this all could have been avoided. And this is stuff like this that they try to hide, that the taxpayers of Gibsonville are going to have to pay for it. The taxpayers of Alamance County are going to pay for it, not the individuals themselves. They might go to jail or face some small like civil consequence, but there needs to be uh stronger punishments for these people. And this is another issue. Sorry, I didn't mean to dive down this rabbit hole.
No, I'm with you. I mean, any sort of accountability, like anything.
Mm-hmm.
So anything you want to, I think I've said it a lot. Anything you want to, I think that was good.
No, this is really, it's been excellent. I want to finish with a little bit of y'all talking about like again, as we said at the beginning, I've noticed you're in a much better place now, but like talk about just the emotional toll on you two.
Oh,
You go ahead, my dear.
so there are so many times I wanted to let's just give up, just forget it and move on. And Brian didn't want to. And so that caused us to like have a lot of differences. And I kind of got a little resentment here and there. And then I'm just trying to focus on the kids while he does this. And then he's trying to, we're like all over the place. Yep. We lost friends, which I think now is for the better anyway.
Right.
I
It
think
still
that's
stings. I mean, it's easy to say that now. It stings at the time, and it makes you question, like,
Yeah,
it
who are
does.
people I cared about? They supposedly cared about me.
exactly.
We've disagreed with like family about it.
Yeah,
What else? So I'm not sure. I think I like fell into like a
depression.
depression numb. Like I don't feel the same ever since. And I have a psychiatrist and stuff like that, but in therapy, but just
I don't trust
man,
people.
there were times where I just couldn't stop crying. I'll cry on like the drop of a dime, just so emotional. Our kids, pretty sure the oldest one who was involved has PTSD.
Yeah,
Sometimes she'll go back to that state and it
Yeah.
reminds me, I can hear her like her cry is the same from the video. Our youngest, definitely anxiety, and they both have like separation anxiety. And Brian, shortly after this, because it made his PTSD way worse, punched the window in his sleep in the middle of the night.
this is scar.
It was me and the girls here.
That's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like, there's actual, like, physiological.
Lasting damage.
Yeah.
He almost
Almost.
he didn't make it. He walked out of here. They had to walk him out. He was white. The
So-
girls were awake because there's cops and ambulance in here trying to make it like we were fighting, which I'm like,
Yep.
we are not fighting. He has PTSD. Now it's worse. Help him. And like he lost so much blood. And he has stitches and a scar.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it was traumatic for me. Like a little bit about me. I was abused in foster care, so I kind of like had been there before, so it wasn't as bad because I kind of this is why I can tolerate it. But it's still going back there when I thought I would never go back there. Because when I found my family, when I found Kerri and I had kids, it was like I was living for the first time. And so having to go back to that, having to go back and feel that way, I felt like I can't trust people now. Like they go to church, and I feel like people is looking at us. Well, part of it, I could. People have come up to me, so it's like I don't like talking about this.
We don't want to be doing this.
I didn't want to be doing. I didn't want to be. I'm on TikTok now talking about this on YouTube and actually flagging my stuff. People comment and call me losers and criminal.
Oh, and our oldest daughter said that last year, because she was starting to get older, there was kids saying stuff about us on the internet, calling us names to her and stuff, because I guess they're on TikTok or they saw their parents. I don't really know, but
I didn't want to be doing this. But the thing is, this is what you got to understand. When everything's in the dark, it gets swept aside. It's only when it's viewed a lot by the people and shared, then they take actions, because these people in these positions, we put them in power, so they only act when we. So that's the only reason. Like I didn't want to be on YouTube or TikTok doing this. I got things to do.
And like he mentioned, and he's tried every other option, and so what are we supposed
I
to
actually
do?
got banned from Nextdoor. I don't know if you know that. So I went on Nextdoor, the platform, and then the police chief had me banned, and my stuff was getting flagged with wrong labels and stuff. And it's like, well, people were like, well, this is the wrong place for this, even though technically it isn't. Like where was I supposed to, like, it was traumatic. Like I hate Gibsonville now. Like I wanted this when we first was buying a house in Chapel Hill. We didn't have a lot of money, and I thought, well, I don't really like Burlington, but it's in our price range. So in Gibsonville, when we saw this house for sale, I was literally like going out every day looking for houses. And my wife was like, well, I don't want to do this. And then finally I convinced her this house was perfect. And then
right here,
and we got it. And it's like everything, and it's like I hate that we moved here. I hate all this. Like I hate.
Well, and look at that though. Like, especially for everyone watching in North Carolina, Gibsonville is objectively a beautiful area.
Yeah.
Like, this is the appeal of our amazing state, is you can go find some, like, small town America is alive and well in North Carolina, and in a lot of places it's great. And part of the appeal is what should be community and working together and getting to know your neighbors at church. And then when it all starts off, and again, I do not intend here to assign motive to anyone.
Yeah.
It changed when they found out that, you know, you had a drop of black blood in you.
That's what it appeared to me, to be honest.
That's dicey. And then
Why do you even ask?
Why does that matter? But like this, I've not done anything stereotypical of black people besides listen to like older 80s. I like Luther Vandross, and I would play that a little bit loud. So not go ahead.
But it was just because they noticed our daughter's hair. So?
And she thought, and I thought by telling them, and we're not doing any of the stereotypical like things, like I was working, even then I was working, not like I am now, but I was working a lot because we had goals and aspirations. I was barely home because it's like, we're going to live here for 2 years and we're going to buy our next home and rent this out. And then we're going to slow down. Like, my goal was essentially to just work for 2 years, like hard, buy another house, and then slow down and supplement with the income and enjoy life. But now it's like the mental anguish. And now, to be honest, when this started, I used to respect the police. I looked at them as heroes. I wanted to become an officer one day because I thought it meant to uphold the law and protect people. I respected lawyers and judges. Like, all that changed, man. And now I look at them as like people. They just look at them for what they are, as people that abuse their power. And I walk around and I'm wondering, when I see a cop, how many people has he abused?
And if they're not, they're helping covering up, or they're turning their cheek and they're not helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when people say there are good cops, I pause, because I'm like, in a vacuum, there's probably more good cops than bad cops. But the problem is they're all part of the system and they support it. And the cops that speak up get fired or demoted, or there's tons of cases of this. It's not really about each cop per se. It's about a system that enables them to behave like this.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yep. And so this is just, even our kids, man, like, I did not want, I felt like a failure as a father for a little bit, you know, because it's like I vowed, because I told you I was abused terribly as a child, like the worst stuff. I said this will never happen to them. And then it's like, it's the worst when I love myself, so I love my kids a lot because they're part of the other person. I love my wife, and to watch them, like, my daughter would come in there crying sometimes because the neighbors were being loud and obnoxious, and we couldn't do anything because the police didn't do anything.
There was a time I couldn't even go to the bathroom without, "Mommy, where are you?" and stuff like that.
It's like, these institutions and these governments that are supposed to protect us were being weaponized against us. And it's like, I mentioned CPS, they've actually been helpful. But when we called CPS on them, and again, I wasn't doing it out of spite. I actually was, you know, it's like, there's a 16-year-old brandishing a gun to scare my daughter. I mean, to scare me and my wife. There's kids unattended driving up and down like our roads, trying to intimidate our kids. You know, like, there's adults allowing them to harass us, and nobody's being penalized for this. That to me is insane. And it's like that's been my deal. And so maybe, like, Gibsonville is beautiful, and like Rob said, I like the homey community, like, going. I'm not really a bar guy, but just, hey neighbor type thing. You know, I mind my own business, but just seeing out people and waving and local things, like hearing, because they have car shows and band, which I couldn't go to them anyways, even if I wanted to, because I'm banned. But like, we're just thinking about that. That's why we wanted to move here, because it seemed safe and local in a community. But that's all been shattered, and so now I want to get out of here.
We can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait to leave. And I'm still debating on selling our house because we're partly like, we hate it here, but at the same time, we have a lot of equity in this house. And so it's like, but we're still on the fence about that. But it's like I wanted to own multiple houses, and so if I have to sell this house, that's gonna start over. Then I just have one house. I know I probably sound like a butthole, but it's like the point is, I had a dream. I was living the dream, the American dream, and it essentially been ruined for me and my family.
It's terrible, really.
So thank you both for your time. We are going to keep pushing this and stay on this story, but and I'll put all the links and stuff and who to email and call in the comments. But what can people do who want to get involved right now?
Speak up.
Yes. Oh, share these videos.
Yes.
That's
Share
one thing.
Rob's video.
And
Share my.
Where
Go
can they
ahead.
follow you? Yeah, share your stuff. Where can they follow you?
Dang. You can add like a link or something. I don't
And
know
TikTok.
Yeah, on TikTok and YouTube. My name is Brian Turner.
Yeah, I'll put the
So
link in the comments.
yeah, so they've been flagging my stuff, but you can still see the videos. But my wife has TikTok, and Rob knows I post on YouTube, but the majority of my stuff is on TikTok. So if you share my videos, because the thing is, this not only impacts me, but you could be the next Brian.
Also, I think people can see like our other videos that aren't about this. Like, we're just a regular happy family. Like, this shouldn't have happened to us.
Yes, but share these videos, contact the FBI, contact local government, contact Josh Stein. Because the thing is, one person, they're not going to do much. But if you have multiple people, do something. Also, contact news stations. Send this article in, because we've been sending evidence in, but they're going to ignore me until they can no longer suppress it. But if a lot of people are sending to the news and emailing, like our senators and legislative committees, this can create long-lasting change, not just for me and my family, but for everyone.
And so if anyone has been through something similar, or reach out or share your story too.
Yes, I would also love to interview you on my TikTok, share your story as well. Rob's been very. Oh, I don't know if you want me to say this. I found out that Rob is running for mayor. This is the kind of man that you need to represent you. And he didn't
Well, I
tell me, like,
appreciate
I
that.
found out this is the kind of guy you want, somebody that cares about the people, because I hate politicians, but it's because most politicians are crappy. But people like Rob is who we need to create the change, so that way we can stop getting victims. So that's all I'm gonna say.
But stay
Well,
safe.
thank you very much. I will keep trying to do the little that I can, and hope everyone else can get involved. And the one other thing, and I'll put the contact information in the comments as well. But remember to stay polite and respectful so people take you seriously. But nice emails to the town of Gibsonville, to the Gibsonville police. It goes a long way to let them know that citizens are watching. Brian and Kerri, I'm sorry you went through what you did. Part of me is sort of like silver lining. It happened to you two, and you're able to handle it and make something good out of it, as opposed to someone else. We will not stop on this. I told you right at the beginning, like, I got a lot going on. It will be slow sometimes, but I will never stop. And I promise you that we will stay on it as long as there's something to stay on until we see justice. So thank you both very much.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you
Rob.
so much, Rob.
Take care. We gotta go get our kids.
Okay.
All right, I'm going.